So 5 out of the 7 Magnificent 7 reported this week. It was Google, it was Amazon, it was Apple, it was Meta, and it was Microsoft. And they reported very strong revenue and very strong earnings. We also had the 2025 GTC. Nvidia showed all her repertoire and got to $5 trillion in market cap. We got Amazon, and I took one quote, but it's also relevant for Google, who said that they see a reacceleration of their growth. Everyone wants to be in the cloud. Everyone wants to use AI. Amazon and Google really nailed it during the earnings. We got Trump and Xi's meeting this week, where they talked about several things around trade. We also had Michael Berry tweet or post on Friday. And I'm not sure you know, Michael Berry doesn't have his own account. He's hidden behind a username called Cassandra, which is a Greek goddess who, according to the mythology, is the one that has seen the future, tells everyone the truth, and no one believes her. And he says that sometimes there's a bubble, sometimes there's something to do about it, and sometimes the only winning move is not to play. I have no idea what it means. I really don't. And we had a Fed rate cut this week by 25 basis points. And Jerome Powell on his presser calming down the market and saying, I'm not sure what's going to happen in December. That, of course, did not calm the market, actually. It stirred things up because the market already priced in another rate cut during December. So the market needed to adjust in the last 3 days of the week. We're getting a lot of layoffs. As you can see, PwC is cutting 5,600 of their workforce. UPS is cutting 48,000. Chegg, 45% of their workforce. Target is cutting 1,800 roles. Amazon is cutting between 14 and 30,000, and Paramount 2,000. When Andy Jassy was asked about these layoffs, he said that it's not AI and it's not anything like that. They just grew and they became less efficient, so they needed to reduce their headcount, which is a regular headcount reduction. So everyone that is connecting AI to these layoffs, there's no connection. Maybe in the future, but currently there's no connection. And the Magnificent 7 have become even bigger than they were before, between 2.4 and actually Nvidia touched the $5 trillion this week between all of them. They've become bigger than GDPs of most countries in the world. And this is how their stocks reacted during the week. You can see Amazon with an amazing reaction to their earnings, up 9% for the week. Nvidia up 8.7%, Google up 8%, Tesla up, Broadcom up, Apple up, and on the flip side, we got Microsoft ended the week on a minus 1%. Oracle down 7% for the week, mainly closing gaps on a technical level, and Meta down 12% after their earnings. And there's something that needs to be said about Meta's earnings. They didn't have bad earnings. They had good revenue growth, but their current issue is the spend that Zuckerberg believes he should do in order to participate in the AI race, and he wants to win it. And that's why he's ready to spend as much as possible. The market doesn't like it. That boiling it down to that, and they weren't able to overcome the 200-day moving average, which is now the biggest test for Meta. When we look at the market itself, you can see the Nasdaq up almost 2% for the week. You can see the Dow up 0.75 and the S&P up 0.71. You can see both the Russell and the RSP. RSP is the equal weighted S&P 500, down for the week 1.2 and 1.7. This is how the markets reacted during the whole month of October. Nasdaq up 4% for the week, 4.78 for the month, sorry. Dow up 2.6 and the S&P up 2.3 for the month. And year to date, this is how they performed. Nasdaq up 23% for the year with a bear market. S&P 17, Dow 13, and the Russell 12. Sectors themselves, you can see the technology up 2% for the week. The biggest thing you need to notice about this chart is we have more red sectors than green, which means that the market during this week, or the money during this week, went to the big tech stocks rather than to the breadth of the market. This is not as positive as expected. Crypto market negative for the week, Bitcoin down 3.7 and Ethereum down 6.5. And commodities, natural gas up 22% for the week. Gold recovering a bit, up 2.4, while silver down and crude oil down. You remember this? The bots, the GPTs that are fighting one another and trading by themselves, horrific week for them. During the week, actually around, I think it was around Monday or Tuesday, they were up 130% since the beginning of the season. At least DeepSeek was. Currently, it's up only, I'm saying only double quote, 46%. Now you might look at it and say, what do you mean? It's up 46%, why are you complaining? And it's true. The only issue is that it was up 130%, and when you're up 130%, being up only 46%, not something you really wanna be excited about. This brings us to our channel. If you're new, hello everyone. My name is Micha, and on this channel we talk about stocks. We do live streams once a week. This week we're not going to do a live stream just because I have two conferences that I'm hosting, which I won't be able to live stream. But if you're new, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the channel and of course turn notifications on. This brings us to the market itself, and let's talk about things that happened during the week. So on Friday, ExxonMobil reported earnings, and they said that they're also in the race to provide power to the hyperscalers for data centers in AI. Netflix announced that they're gonna in the next 2 weeks they're gonna split their stock 10-1, which means that for every stock you have on Netflix you're gonna get 10, but your cost would go down as well. So basically it doesn't mean anything. Walmart is expanding their AI capabilities inside their app. GSAT is on sale. SpaceX is looking into it, and also Apple. Nvidia announced a lot of partnerships. These are some of them during their GTC. We have Eli Lilly, Palantir, Hyundai, Samsung. They're going to invest $1 billion in Nokia. They're going to team up with Uber to provide 100,000 robotaxi fleet or to help them build. They're going to expect revenue of $500 billion for 2026, at least for the next 5 quarters. And they are going to help build 7 new supercomputers for the Department of Energy. A lot of excitement, a lot of money is being poured by Nvidia. Microsoft is fixing their agreement with OpenAI. All this part of OpenAI wanting to IPO in middle of next year with a crazy valuation of $1 trillion. This has never been done. Never have we seen an IPO of that scale, and I'm not even sure we're going to get to that scale, but that's currently the expectation. PayPal is going to be embedded beginning of next year to ChatGPT, so you'll see something you want to buy, you'll click buy, you'll have the option to do it with PayPal. Pony AI and WeRide are planning listed on the Chinese stock exchange, and they're also teaming up with Uber. Or actually Uber is investing in them in order to get exposure to their capabilities. Uber is also teaming up with Lucid to provide self-driving taxis. This does not compete with Google, which also has their fleet on Uber app. Pony AI is granted Shenzhen first permit to fully driverless commercial robotaxi operation. As you can see, a lot of discussion around robotaxi. We're going to talk about it next week as well. And a first sell rating for Berkshire Hathaway, which hasn't been done, I think, ever. It's so rare, no one even remembers when it happened the last time. And that is because of Warren Buffett's position, or actually leaving his position at the end of the year. And people are not sure what's going to happen. Citi is partnering with Coinbase on digital asset payments. Qualcomm announced a new chip that's going to compete with Nvidia, although when you look into the specs, it's not really going to compete with Nvidia. It's going to go to the lower scale. AMD is partnering to build 2 supercomputers. So Nvidia is going to build 7, AMD is going to build 2 for the Department of Energy. And last but not least, if you want to wear your favorite NFL team, now you will be able to buy it through Lululemon. That, of course, brings us to next week. Next week, we finished with the big companies except Nvidia. Now we're starting to get all the smaller companies in scale. So we're going to get on Monday Palantir and Cypher Mining and Fubo. Tuesday, we're going to get Uber and Shopify and Spotify and Pfizer and Hot 8. Then we're going to get AMD and Arista Networks and Supermicro. We're going to get Novo Nordisk, Humana, McDonald's, Unity on Wednesday. Robinhood, Iron Q, and Applavin as well. And Qualcomm. Thursday, we're going to hear from quantum company called D-Wave and Vista Energy and Datadog. And after the bell, we're going to get Opendoor and Iris Energy and DraftKings and more. And Friday, we're going to hear from Wendy's. It's more companies, but lower in market cap. When we look at the economic calendar or the macro calendar, we don't really have a lot since the government is still in shutdown. What we do have is we have non-farm payroll if they will be released on Friday. Thursday, the annual shareholder meeting for Tesla is gonna happen, and there's going to be a vote on Elon Musk's pay. If it's not gonna be approved, his exaggerated pay package, which might make him a trillionaire, he might leave Tesla. So if you haven't voted yet, vote, and if you have voted, I hope you voted for something you believe in. And once we enter in November is one of the best months of the year for the Dow and the S&P 500, at least historically. Will it happen this year or not? No one actually knows, but the hope is high. And also we're entering the 6 months period of the best performance for the S&P 500. November through April is considered the best 6 months. 77% of the time they've been higher in an average of 7%. And when we look at the S&P 500 using Japanese candlesticks, you can see that in the last 4 days we had selling pressure when we got to the top range of our parallel channel. We might still go down all the way to around 6,700. That would still not impact the trend. But after 4 days of selling, usually you start getting the buyers stepping in. So whether we close this gap at around 6,800 or we go down and close the second gap at around 6,746, we are 6 months into, actually in the last 6 months, we had 6 green months for the S&P 500. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video. And remember, nothing here is financial advice. Everything is only for educational purposes and entertainment as well. Till next time, bye-bye.